Okay, time for part 2 of the Noclip doc. Part 1 was cool. We got some insight into Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, kind of what went wrong and the culmination of all that, and how Yoshi P kind of proposed a plan for moving forward, etc. And here's part 2 called Rewriting History.
So what did you think from your perspective as CFO to fix this problem? It's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to involve creating a new game. It's going to involve...
Right. Oh, this is the good part. Yeah, part 1 was good too, but right, there was basically two paths that Yoshi P kind of proposed, right? They're like, okay, we can like continue working with what we have right now, blah blah blah, but it's not gonna like leave the legacy that you're looking for, you know. It's not gonna survive. Like, it'll survive, but it's not gonna you know, make an impact in any way. Part 2 is we start on a new game, and the, you know, the money sink there is not only paying for updating the current game, but also having a new team dedicated to making the new one. Kevin a Blanket, yes indeed.
Involved keeping the other game still running. Did you think at that time that that was a solid investment, that that's what Square Enix should be doing, or did you think that it was a risky venture?
単純にそこだけ見るとね、すごくリスクの高い話、多分一般的には多分なるというふうに思うんですけども、
registeringkevinablanket.com
さすがに当社はね、ナンバリングタイトルでフラッグシップのタイトルで MMO、これだけのタイトルなわけですから、それがこのままサービスが
Yeah, that was part of it, right? A flagship series. They keep referencing it as a numbered Final Fantasy game, right? So that holds weight. That's part of the legacy of the company and everything too, right? So
頓挫してしまうというのは、これは非常に将来的にまずいと。これはやっぱり経営上これは非常に大きなダメージを与えるということで、再度作り直しと並行してやるということの投資に関しては、これはまあはっきり言ってやっぱりやるべきっていうか、まあやらざるを得ないというふうな判断でしたね。ものすごい財務的なリスクがものすごく大きかったですけどね。
Yeah, I think that's, you know, props to them too, right? I think it's very easy for a company, whatever product they're making, could be like, all right, that one didn't really work out well. Let's go to the next one. Let's pretend that never happened, right? But I mean, part of big companies is, you know, part of what makes them successful is brand image, right? They do care a lot about brand image. If they wanted to make things right, how do you explain Final Fantasy 13? I don't know. This came after 14 though, or this is 14 though. That came after. I don't know. I never played 13. Is 13 bad? Is it bad or something? It's not great. Oh, 13, huh? Not as well received then.
Hello and welcome back to our series on the fall and rise of Final Fantasy XIV Online. We rejoin Yoshida-san and the team at Square Enix at the start of a long adventure, and with players leaving en masse and the clock ticking, it was time for them to formulate a plan. But how exactly do you rebuild an MMO?
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, look, Disastrous saying 13 wasn't that great, but to be fair, you were also somebody who was like, man, 15 sucks, I don't like 15, blah blah blah, and then now you're like, oh my god, Noctis, oh my god, Noctis date, 14 crossover. You did like some of the characters though, not Lightning though. Not Noctis, Ignis. Get it right.
Playing it. Yoshida-san set his eyes on a 2013 launch date for the new version of 14, as he wanted to have the game out for fans within the PlayStation 3's lifecycle. But to do this while still patching 1.0, he would have to create an entirely new MMO in less than half the time of most conservative estimates. So before we get into specifics of what exactly was...
Yeah, that's another part of the puzzle, right? Is they set themselves a due date for this too, and it was coming up pretty fast, right? Snow and Hope are the worst Final Fantasy characters ever. No idea who those are. It's not even close. Ignis, he could do everything. I had no cares for Snow. I did like Hope though.
Was changed. I wanted to know how he did it. So for a moment, we step away from game design and dive into a critically important aspect of video games development that we rarely talk about: project management.
Oh, project
Designing
management.
an MMO must, I just imagine the timeline for something like this is at least 5 years for anything. And you're being asked to do it in less than half of that probably. When you're designing games, when we talk to people, so much
Same
of
for
it is
my line of work.
iterative that you create something and then you refine it and you brush it and then you look at it again. But you didn't have that luxury. You had to make sure that the version of A Realm Reborn that was coming out at that date was the final package. So did that change the way that you had to set up the team and the way your workflow kind of went?
MMORPG の開発に5年が普通だっていうのはもうちょっと強く言っといてくださいまずそのスケジュールトラブルを起こさないためのそのマネジメントの工夫としてはなんだろうな言い方がちょっと難しいんですけど、ものすごく腕のいい特に100人に1人ぐらいしかいないようなプログラマーがたくさんやっぱりいるわけではないのでかつものすごい短い期間で大量のコンテンツやアセットを作らなければいけないので人がたくさんどうしても並行作業が多くなるとかかってしまう能力のこの差をある意味高いレベルに合わせるんじゃなくて低いレベルに合わせるというか言い方が難しいな平均的なところに合わせるっていうそのマネージメントをすることでリスクをなくすってことをします。
Oh, this is like the Warrior Quest or
も
something.
うちょっと詳しく話します。で、何をしたかというと、とにかく一つのタスク。
Happy New Year, Gray.
例えばドラグーンというそのジョブを作るっていう時に、今言ったドラグーンっていうジョブを作るっていうタイトルって1タスク。
I'm just kind of speculating here, but it's not just creating the job, it's creating how the job fits into the ecosystem of the rest of the jobs, right? Balance-wise and all that. And then they have, it's the story that comes with the job, the animations, etc. But just overall gameplay of how that works, right? It's got to be pretty in-depth, right? It was a localization, apparently really rushed and poorly done. Characters are supposed to be better in native Japanese. For 13 you're talking about. This dude created an Excel spreadsheet with the complete MMO documented in it in like months. Yeah, he was talking about how they had to like kind of, plan it around the average like skill level, right? Or performance level of their programmers and all that.
タスクに見えるけど、そうじゃない実際には。何個のドラグーンのアクションが必要で。そのアクションを一つプログラミングするのに、どれだけかかるかもちろんそのドラグーンの特定のアクションを作るために仕様書も必要だし仕様書を作った後は実際にその仕様書に例えば2時間かかる
2 hours to create
なら、それを例えば僕に確認依頼が飛んで僕がチェックするのに例えば15分かかるそのぐらい一つのタスクに見えるものを徹底的にもう細かく分解させるっていうちょっと究極のその
Well, so that's just the Dragoon job here, right? That's one job. And that's just one, that's just a job. It's not, they have the other jobs, the crafting or whatever, and just all the other elements, the dungeons and overall story. Oh, and that's just one. They're just talking about the Dragoon job. We have to make an Excel doc. It takes 2 hours, takes 50 minutes to review that, blah, 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 for one part of the game. Very one part here.
ミニマムな管理方法を引いたので、スタッフは結構ストレスだっただろうなとは思います。で、そのさらにシングルタスクに対して最もこのタスクが自分で早く終わると予測される時間この時間でこのタスクが完了したら自分を褒めてもいい逆にこのタスクがこの時間以上かかってしまったら給料をもらう資格がないっていうぐらいその最悪のケース
So that's where, this talking about I'd be ashamed to be accepting pay. That comes with taking pride in one's work, but also the Japanese work culture too, right? Probably it's very different. I don't know. I've had these discussions with Sorel and just, other people in general about I'm not these days I'm not trying to be a superstar. I think there's a population of disgruntled workers here that we got here in the States, right? Where it's people who are just wanting to do the work, just, you know, I'm here to make money, to earn money, I'll give you my time, blah, blah, blah. Don't expect much more from me, versus, you know, the company wants you to go above and beyond, blah, 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 to, you know, do the best we can. You didn't like the combat in 13? The wild part is he managed to break it down to the level schedule around it and keep that schedule. Yeah, it's a huge project to manage, right? Companies do not care about the individual, so it's fair. I mean, for the most part, right? The company doesn't. We're expendable, right? It feels like we're expendable. That's why people like job hop a lot, right? For better pay, because a lot of times, you know, they don't find it. They can't get that within their own internal company and everything too. Hello, Happy New Year, CT. How are you? Welcome in. We're watching the Noclip doc and also just talking about life. But like, think about it. There's definitely scenarios where it's like, okay, I finished my work. Like, what else do you have for me? Oh, here's more work to do. You know, great, you're a superstar. Okay, awesome. Now it's time for like end of year bonuses, pay raises, whatever. It's like, hey, like you did really great this year. Here's you know, here's like a 1%er or something. And it's like, shit. Why did I stress myself for all that without, you know, getting something in return, right? Or here, like, hey guys, you know, record-breaking profits for the company. Here's a $20 Walmart gift card. Thank you for all your hard work. Or even worse, like, hey guys, layoffs. It's time to get laid off. I'm a Scrooge sometimes, right? Yeah, I'm sure there are exceptions, but it's nuts to kill yourself for a job that don't give a shit about you. Right? Yeah. That's kind of how I feel. Some of the people care, like some managers and such, but they bust their butt for you. But if the company isn't aligned, their hands are tied, right? Because at the end of the day, a company's goal is to make money. They could say what again? Maybe I'm being a Scrooge. They could say whatever they want about having a great work-life balance, blah blah blah, treating their workers well, whatever. They want to make money. One way to cut down on costs is to not pay their employees like their goal. Like their goal is a lot of time. It feels like their goal is to like, okay, I'm gonna try to pay you as little as I can to get as much work out from you, right? The whole recruiting process and everything. I love that we live in a society where that demands you give a job 2 weeks notice before you quit, but gives you no notice before they lay you off. The 2 weeks notice isn't even a required thing, I don't think, right? There's no way a 2 weeks notice is required. I don't know if it's a state by state thing. I feel like it's more of a courtesy, but you don't have to do that.
っていうそのミニマムで終わる時間とマックスかかってもこれだけだろうっていう時間を両方申告させて、その平均値で基本的にはスケジュールを管理するっていう本当にミニマムマイクロマネージメントマイクロすぎるぐらいのマイクロマネージメントをしてました。それを最初はウィークでみんな
I imagine
そのやり方に慣れてもらう。
I was gonna say I could imagine that a lot of the workers maybe weren't down for that. I don't like being micromanaged, but in this case maybe it was a necessary evil from Yoshi P's perspective. I mean, it seemed like it worked, right? In your state of Florida, it's definitely just a courtesy. They can blackball you. That is true. You can be blackballed too. I don't know. I feel like, you know, people are just... Everything's expensive these days, right? We all try to make our monies and get through life, and sometimes we just want to get in and do our work and get out. I mean, you got the job done, but I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of people that could pull it off. Yeah. It would take a certain kind of leader to do that too, right? You'd have to respect that leader. Otherwise, it would just come off as like... This guy's being a dick. Props to people who do find pride in their work. Like, there's nothing wrong with that either. Definitely nothing wrong with that.
もらうために毎週1週間でそのマネジメントを回してで1週間経つと結果が出るのでさらにそこに個人パラメータ例えば吉田はやたらとミニマムをこう短い時間で申告するけど結局タスクが終わってみるとマックスに寄りがちだなってなった場合は 50% で見積もるんじゃなくてもうその係数をかけて吉田はマックス側に寄るからきっと次の週のスプリントはもうちょっとマックス側に寄るだろうみたいなのをどんどんこうで個人特性までそうやって管理してたので
Now, I don't know what he did. I don't know if he, you know, if you're putting in the, if you're doing the minimum as he kind of called it here, or producing the minimum. I don't know if that led to like firings or whatnot, but to me, it sounds like he wasn't doing it to judge or to like cut like loose ends necessarily. It was really just a holistic approach to see this is our progress given the min and the max. Right? That's the vibe I'm getting here. You respected A Realm Reborn so much more after this doc. Like, it is far from perfect, but the fact it exists at all is amazing. Yeah, it sounds like he was just being realistic and not using it to be like, all right, we're gonna try to see who we can, you know, cut costs with here and blah blah blah.
1日の稼働時間は8時間ではありますけど、まあ、トイレに行ったりっていう時間も必要だし、あと必ずミーティングやその会議室でのミーティングじゃなかったとしても、スタッフと仕様の打ち合わせを絶対にそのデスクトゥデスクで
Yeah, okay. I see. This could totally. So we're pausing so much here, but this could totally backfire in so many different ways. Depending, right? He's talking about detailing bathroom breaks and everything too. Like, I'm getting like Amazon warehouse vibes and things like that. Like 100%, this could totally backfire in the wrong hands.
1日の稼働は6時間で計算してましたね、その時は。全員6時間、8時間では見ない。で大体慣れてきたらそれをまあ2週間スプリントに変えて、あとは毎朝必ずスタンドアップミーティングをして、それぞれのセクションで自分のタスクが今どうなってるのか、誰かのタスクが遅れてるせいで自分のタスクに取り掛かれないとかいうのは毎朝スタンドアップミーティングをして。
So it looks like he's tapering off here a little bit too.
ではこのタスクを入れ替えてこっちを先にやってくれないとこの人が止まってしまうからっていうのをもう全部毎朝やってましたね。だからスクラムの
Scrum. Oh my god, Scrum.
マネジメント手法のちょっと典型型ですね。ただ最後に言って。
I will say though, I've been lucky to have like phenomenal bosses throughout my professional career and managers. Like, they've all been really great. Like, you know, more recent, like a recent example is like, you know, what's your workload at? I don't want you to be at 100% workload. I would like for you to be at 80% workload, so you can have time to rest or do other things, right? Whereas that's coming from my immediate manager and boss. Whereas, you know, I imagine in a lot of other places they're like, oh, what's your workload? Oh, you're at 80%. Okay, we're gonna bring you up to 100, right? We got to milk your time for what it is. We're paying you, right? So 100%. Here we go, right? 120%, even better.
Oh,
see, even Yoshi P is saying I would not recommend this at all. Okay, so there it is, baby.
じゃないのでおすすめしないですよ。
Yeah.
まあ2年弱で MMORPG を作る。逆に言うとスタッフにも2年かからず終わるからこのマネジメント。だから今は我慢してって言ってやってもらったものなので、一般的には絶対おすすめしないです。細かすぎます。
I mean, anyone can come in and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna rebuild the game. Follow me." But he came in with, you know, this huge Excel that had all of these lists of everything on it. What we're gonna do here, what we're gonna do here. This is when we're gonna do them by, and this is what we're gonna do here. And to see that, it's like, okay, this isn't just a stopgap type of thing where a president's like, okay, crazy here, let's just change the leader and hopefully things will, you know, get better. It was an actual, okay, this guy really wants to do this. He has this plan.
Yoshida had them running like a well-oiled machine, so it was time to get to work. First things first, they had to start the rollout of patches for 1.0, but a critical part of the failure of the first game was the poor communications the development team had with their community. So to keep diehard fans on board during this protracted period of redevelopment, they had to be a lot more transparent.
What we explained to players very first is it was failure. I mean, failure. So we need to restart the game. But I mean,
yeah, the grapes.
At that timing, we didn't announce the. I mean, Reborn is not announced, but we are going to fix this game. We need more communication. So just list all the changes, plan changes.
Yeah. So, players love to see the game plan, right?
I mean,
the development plan
doesn't like this because if you show this to the players, I mean, player knows what we will do. So, I mean, after that, you did this, but you didn't do this, you didn't do this. Everyone can check that. So, I mean, some people doesn't really like that way. But I mean, when Yoshida-san and myself are discussing how we deal with the community, but
hey, Horn, Happy New Year.
What we need to do is to establish the trust.
Who knew that some, you know, transparency would go a long way, and that transparency with your clientele might establish, you know, some responsibility on your end to fulfill those obligations as well. Yeah, Happy New Year, Horn. How are you doing? We just watching the Noclip doc part 2 right now.
確かに、まあ、今の14のそのユーザーベースから見れば当時のユーザーベースはまあものすごい小さかったと思う。まあ今と比較すれば。ただまあメディアの皆さんからもそのプレイヤーからも そのファイナルファンタジー14はもうダメだ、むしろなんであんなダメなゲーム遊んでるの君たち、どうかしてるんじゃないのって言われながらも、いやファイナルファンタジーシリーズだから絶対何とかしてくれるはずだ、いやこれはこれで僕らは楽しんでるからほっといてくれ、その11だって最初の頃はいろいろあったけどきっと良くなるはずって言って、数はもちろん今と比較したらすごく小さい
We got an hour 40
だったかもしれないけど、誰よりもスクエアエニックスやファイナルファンタジーのことを応援してくれている人たちだったので、この人たち
Yeah, I mean, if you're not gonna do this for the sake of the people who still believe in you, then you'll lose all the trust, right? Because, you know, if not for the people who are gonna stick by your side and have faith in you, then what's it for, right?
を無視するんだと、多分この先もうファイナルファンタジーはダメだろうと思ってたので、むしろ何よりも大切にしなきゃいけない部分だったっていうのが最も大きい理由。それは何億円使おうが回収できない後でコストだと思うので、信頼ってそういうことなのかなっていうふうに会社にもプレゼンテーションしましたし、僕もそう思ってたから、まあ続けましたけど。
Good on them.
あともう一つやっぱり大きなポイントは、本当にファイナルファンタジー14がリバンプしてその大逆転するためには絶対に彼らの力が必要だっていうことももう一つ重要な意味を持っていると考えてました。
Next, Yoshida split his team in half, some working on the new version of 14 and others working on the updates to 1.0, what he called the guts version of the game. But with so much of the game requiring fixing, where do you even start?
Talking about Bismarck in that
まず
cutscene.
一番最初にやらなきゃいけないと思ったのは、インターフェースをとにかくなんて言うんだろうな、最低限遊べるように正直本当申し訳ない話なんですけど、僕最初にやっぱりオリジナルの14触った時にインターフェースがあまりにもなんだろう、ひどすぎて話にならない。だって PC バージョンしか出てないのにゲームパッドがないとまともに遊べない。聞いたことがない、そんな PC ゲーム。マウスキーボードでまともに遊べないゲームなんか見たことがなかったので、いくらそのコンテンツを作ろうがジョブを作ろうが、インターフェースがダメだったらコンテンツの面白さに到達する前に
I never really thought about the interface like that, but it's a huge part of any game,
インターフェースを
right?
直さないとゲームにならないっていうふうに考えたので、一番最初にすごい丁寧に取り掛かったのはやっぱりインターフェースの改修っていうところですね。僕最初にプレイした時5分ぐらいでやめちゃいましたもん。でもね、
Whoa, wait, look at that. That's how the gathering and stuff was, and crafting, right? It was like little mini games like that. It's still kind of like that to this day, right? A little bit.
笑い話でクイットの仕方が分からなくて、ウィンドウの右上にある×ボタンを押そうとしたんですよ。で押したらこのままゲームを終了するとデータがセーブされない可能性があります。それでもよろしいですかってダイアログが出るのね。いやいやよくないでしょって。いや僕はエンジニアだからサーバーに常に書き込んでるからそんなわけないじゃんって思ってるんですけど、万が一のことがあるから多分出てるんですよ、そのダイアログ。でも意味がわからない。そうなるともう怖くて。
I've never seen that in an MMO. Like, hey, your data might not be saved. I'd be like, holy shit, am I playing an offline game right now? That would freak me the F out.
押せないですよね。なんだこれ。
Yeah, I would be freaked out to quit then.
またゲームにいるわけでしょ。X 押すダイアログでしょ。どうやってクイットするんだよこのゲーム。
Interface isn't sexy. It's not something you tend to hear a lot about in video games coverage, because really, when it's done correctly, you're not supposed to notice it. So when the early patches for the game concentrated on interface and quality of life updates, much of the community began to get frustrated. The team needed to fix it quickly, so Yoshida employed the help of a Square veteran, one of the developers, on that original 1.0 task force.
はい、皆川博と申します。ファイナルファンタジー14ではユーザーインターフェースの、設計デザインとあとアート的なビジュアルの方も担当しています。よろしくお願いします。今47歳なんですけれども、25の時に入社したのでもう22年経ちますね。 当時はまだスクエアエニックスがスクエアという会社だったので、ですね、ファイナルファンタジータクティクスの、アートディレクターを担当していました。なので普段は少ない情報、なるべく少ない情報やシンプルな表示を心がけているんですけれども、今回はカスタマイズ性というか、よりツール的な考え方で、いろんなプレイヤーがそれぞれ自分の好きなカスタマイズができるようにっていうことを、普段よりも。
This is the beginning of why we're able to customize our HUDs now. This is where it started, huh?
強く意識してます。まあやはりバトルがテンポのスピーディーなテンポのゲームなので、カーソルフォーカスを十字キーで動かしながら決定するっていう、そういう操作性ではちょっとゲームにならないだろうというところがあったので、かなり最初の頃にクロスホットバーというアクションを選択するインターフェースを考えたんですけど、
taking controllers in mind here.
ただこのインターフェース自体は割と昔から他のゲームで自分自身作ったり使ったりしていたものだったので、絶対それでいけるだろうなという思いはありました。なので実はそこはあまり苦労していなかったりします。例えば表現方法が変わると必ず僕はこっちの方が良かったっていう話は来るんですね。例えばインベントリーは以前はテキストで表示されていたんですけれども、アイコンになると当然なんか似ていてよくわからないとか、なので両方欲しいっていう話は受けて、両方作るのは大変なんだよなっていうそういうところがありました。
Wait, it was all text before? They didn't have the icons? Oh my god.
今でも ARR のリリースから積み残しの仕事リストみたいなのがあるんですけれども、2年以上経って今入るみたいな機能もたまにあったりします。
でもう一つはバトルシステムをとにかく変更しないとコンテンツが作れない。つまりあまり良くないバトルシステムをベースにして、コンテンツを作ったとしてもコンテンツが面白くならない。だから順番としてはインターフェースを修正しながらバトルシステムを変更してやっとその先にコンテンツを作るっていうのが、順番としては僕はそうだと思った。当時のバトルシステムも当時は15人でパーティーが組めてあって、しかもマジックポイント MP の管理っていうものがほぼなかったので、当時のファイナルファンタジー14の中で最強の回復魔法だったケアルガーっていうスペルをずっと連打してても MP がゼロにならない。延々ケアルガーして
there was no risk then, or no economy, resource economy.
他の魔法いらないよね。じゃあとにかく当時は15人で一つのモンスターを殴りまくって回復しまくってっていうすごい大雑把なゲームだったので、これを戦略的なバトルシステム計算式に変えていかないとコンテンツが面白くならない。だから UI を直しながらバトルシステムを変更して、でそれらの準備をしながら最も重要だと思ってたのはファイナルファンタジーエレメントっていうものをとにかく入れていくことっていうのが次のというか最も大きな課題だと。
Heaven forbid we have more Final Fantasy
なぜなら当時
specifics in a Final Fantasy game.
ライトもいない、ブラックメイジもいない、ホワイトメイジもいない。これはファイナルファンタジーなのか。チョコボに乗れるわけでもないし、イフリートは出てきてるけど戦えないし、一体何なんだこのゲーム。
Wow, imagine a game like that. You really gotta wonder what the fuck they were doing with like 6 years of dev time for 1.0. I mean, it sounded like I don't know, they're just they're kind of just going off of Final Fantasy XI, right? And just like, all right, that worked for 11. Like, here we go. Let's just let's just do it. Couldn't write Chocobo. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Couldn't like imagine Final Fantasy XIV without the primal fights. That was like one of the first like epic moments in the game. Like, oh shit, I get to fight Ifrit like this in this arena. Like, oh my god. Those are 100% like super epic moments.
コンテンツとして入れていかなきゃいけなかったのはやっぱりイフリートやそのガルーダ いわゆる召喚獣って一般的に呼ばれてるものとのボスバトルを入れていかないといけないと思ったし、
Yo, imagine the game
チョ
without
コボに
those.
乗れないなんて MMO なのに
Did they not have mounts at all in the original 1.0?
話にならないからチョコボにちゃんと乗れるようにしなきゃいけないし、何よりジョブがないのも FF じゃない。少なくとも僕は FF だと思わないので、だったらジョブをちゃんと入れていこうっていうところが。
There weren't specific jobs? Were they, is he saying there weren't, these specific jobs like, the Black Mage, blah, blah, blah? Or was it just like, oh, you're a healer, you're a damage dealer, you're a range damage dealer, you're a tank, and that was it?
でもそれもやっぱりさっき言ったようにインターフェースとバトルシステムが治ってなければいいものにはならないので。
class system.
まあだから回収をやりながらきちんと仕様を作ってそれを一つずつクリアしていくっていうのを中盤以降は続けて、そこからやっぱりグッドゲームの評判はやっぱり Q14 も良くなっていってプレイヤーもずっと増え続けていったので少しずつですけど、あれは僕らもすごい励まされましたね。やっぱりちゃんと面白いものを作っていけばみんなプレイをしてくれるっていうのも数字の上からもよく見えたので、当時の7つ一気にリリースされた7つのジョブ、パッチナンバー忘れちゃったけど7つのジョブがいっぺんに実装されたんですけど、
Kukuruka. I remember that from Black Mage Quest.
The team had their sights set on what needed to be changed and how they were going to do it. For the first time in years, they were feeling hopeful, and even better, players were finally starting to respond with positivity. But right as they were settling into this new reality and finding their rhythm, disaster struck.
Wait. When did that... Are they going to talk about a tsunami? When did that happen? That big ass... Was this around then? Oh my god. Wait, is it?
For 6
Disaster
minutes,
struck.
Japan shook. A 9.0 earthquake had struck 200 miles northeast of Tokyo, and a resulting tsunami devastated.
Yo, I've seen footage of that. Holy smokes, it was so dead. Like, look at that. That's so crazy.
Coastal regions. What followed was a humanitarian and infrastructural disaster that can be barely comprehended. While the country rallied to help those affected,
what year was this?
Tokyo suffered aftershocks and frequent
It feels like this wasn't that long ago for some reason, but I know it was a while ago, but it still feels like it was very recent, right? 2011, that's right. Damn.
electrical blackouts. I asked Yoshida-san if he'd like to share how this had affected the team.
まあ東京もそうは言ってもすごい揺れたので。
I mean, what was that, a 9.0 or something? That's huge. That's crazy.
やっぱりまあ当日はね、会社に泊まった方が安全だって言って帰らないでずっとニュースを見てるっていう人たちもいたし、やっぱり東北に家族とかね親戚とかいるスタッフも当然いたので、まあもう正直言うともう開発どころではなかったのは確かにそうですね。で開発なんか優先すべきじゃないと思うので、やっぱりみんな開発者の前に人なので、まあ日本中電力が足りなくなっていたので、まあ本当に些細なのかもしれないけどサーバーを全部落とそう、まあ少しでも協力できることがあればっていうことで、プレイヤーの皆さんにも申し訳ないんですけどサーバーを一定期間止めますっていう話をして。
Yeah, they're human beings before developers.
ただサーバーの稼働を再開してからプレイヤーの方からまあお手紙をいただいたりしたんですけど、エオルゼアの中で遠くにいる友達の無事が確認できた、エオルゼアがあったから電話も通じない、連絡の手段がなかったところ、エオルゼアの中にログインしてきてくれたことで無事だったっていうのが分かった。逆にその周りの人たちの情報っていうのも分かったっていうお話をいくつかいただいて、まあ電力が足りなければね当然サーバーなんて落とせばいいかなと思うんですけど、そうじゃない限りは続けるっていうこともエオルゼアを維持しておくっていうことも一つのなんかサポートなのかなって思った機会でもありましたね、その時は。だから続けてくれてありがとうって言われたんですよ。 ファイナルファンタジー14を。開発で、まあ、あとは、
Leviathan. I feel like we talked about this before, but like censorship in media due to current events or world events. Like I feel like that's happened in like Pokemon before, right?
最も大きかったのは、実はイフリートの次に戦うボスはリヴァイアさんの予定で、リヴァイアさんをかなりの速度で作ってたんですけど、とてもじゃないけどリリースなんかできないっていう話で、だからイフリートの後モーグリが実装されているのはそれが理由ですね。急いでモーグリを作り直したというか企画 し直したので、いやそんなことはなかったですよ。みんなやっぱりそれぞれのその時期まあ、会社に来れない人たちもまあ何日か会社も
Did they have a doc about or a documentary or anything about working through COVID?
休みにしてるんで、ただどっちかっていうとその自分たちにできることをやろうっていうみんな感じだった。そうじゃあ全員で福島に行って何か僕らが活動することって意味があるのか、あれだけたくさんの人たちが押しかけてる中で、だったら僕らはそのなんだろう、彼らが落ち着いた時にゲームを楽しく遊べるように、僕らは結局ゲーム作るしか脳がないので、まあ、ゲームを作り続けるのが結局何よりなのかもっていう、こういう話はしなかったですけど、みんなそういう感じで復帰してきてましたよ、仕事に。
Games provide an outlet for escaping, right?
Over the coming months, the team would release patch after patch for 1.0.
Oh my god, that dungeon.
1.17 introduced 8-player parties and more stable network infrastructure. 1.18 dropped in June 2011 and was a huge patch that made the game much more playable. Level caps lowered for story quests.
Look at that
grand companies, class adjustments,
staggering on the walking animation there.
And auto attack. Yes, would you believe this game still didn't have
auto attack? Wow.
It featured a more user-friendly map interface and also scrapped the controversial fatigue system.
And so we need to take this concept that Yoshida-san has created, make it fit with the current world, write stories around it, make the transition seem seamless, and then in the new world, make it so that there's still some connection with that old world that
what is this? What quest is that?
Core players, but won't alienate new players. It won't be something like, oh, you didn't play that old, you know, the stuff in 1.0, so you're going to be completely lost, because we don't want to do that either. We want to get new players to come that didn't play the original one, and we don't want to have them have to play the original to understand this one. And so trying to work the story that way was, you know, it was challenging, but it was a lot of fun. We got to try a lot of things. We had a lot of freedom, then especially on the 1.x stuff, because in a sense, it would only be released, seen for a few months, and then it would be gone forever. And so, on one hand, that's really exciting because we can do whatever we want. We can create these crazy stories.
Build a brand, baby.
Have these crazy characters, all of these crazy, in all these crazy situations, and go, you know, balls to the wall. But on the other hand, we're working day and night on something that only a few thousand people are going to see and will be gone in 6 months. I really think, I mean, I look back at
ETA 6 months from here, huh?
Best work during that one point. And it's sad that no one is ever going to see that. Maybe, you know, there's some videos up on YouTube where people can still go back and check them out. But a lot of, you know, some of the best stories, some of the most crazy stuff went on during that 1.x period because it was pretty much no holds barred. Anything can happen. We had like crazy cults, and you had like, you know, people from the Garlean Empire. There was like propaganda.
What the hell's going on
dragons
here?
And machines, and it was just.
Oh, it was a Christmas event?
Anything goes in type of situation there, and it was just really a lot of fun.
1.19 signified the one-year anniversary. Players finally got personal chocobos, and in the distance, one light in the night sky burnt slightly brighter, a sign of things to come.
So this is what I do know. This is what I do know. Okay, because I do know that, yeah, they incorporated a Realm Reborn, like the end, like, you know, the ending of 1.0 into a Realm Reborn, like into the game, right? We saw that footage of like, you know, the final days there, or, you know, that the Dalamud times there. So here they're talking about Yeah, I know. Chocobo, not Chocobo. Yes, I know. I said it because the dude said it that way. Of course I know how to say Chocobo. What do you take me for? I am a Final Fantasy veteran. I know everything when it comes to Final Fantasy. But anyway, they started hinting at this. There's like a little thing in the sky. Here's a little red dot in the sky or something. And people are probably like, whoa, what's up with that little red dot in the sky? What's going on there?
I mean, it was just some rumor between players. Oh, is it getting bigger? No, I don't think so.
This was also when Square Enix announced that an entirely new version of the game had been in development since January, and that current players would receive copies of it for free. They also announced that players' character data and progress would be transferred to this new version, what they were then calling version 2.0.
Yo, wait, hold up. This is one thing I always talked about when we first started playing this game. It was these elemental resistances and like affinities for damage, right? That was something that when I first started playing, I was like, oh, I have a fire spell as a black mage. It's doing is it fire damage? Is it gonna work better on something that's like plant based or something? You know what I mean? But no, that's not a thing anymore. But it looks like here they had these like this. I don't know, resistance. Is this resistance maybe? But I kind of missed that. But you know.
To this new version, what they were then calling version 2.0. A roadmap for patches was outlined, and it was announced that monthly fees would be reinstated as of January 2012 as an incentive for players to keep playing while the fees.
Yeah, because just imagine like, okay, I got this Ifrit fight I gotta do. Maybe I'm doing like the very hard version of it. Okay, I need to get my fire resistance gear for this one. It didn't make sense because of Black Mage, so they removed it. I suppose Black, you know, yeah. Because then the Black Mage inherently would always be strong against a certain element and weak against another one, depending on what phase they're in, right?
These were introduced, they announced Legacy Campaign, which rewarded players who paid for at least 3 months of service with permanently reduced monthly fees. Those players would also get an exclusive Chocobo mount, while as a thank you for their support during the
I still have my 24-hour fitness annual membership. I got it way back in high school. I basically comes out to like $10 a month or something. Super cheap. Even if I don't go there, I don't use I don't use 24-hour fitness to this day, but I still have it because it's so cheap. Because gym memberships are so expensive now. It's like $30 a month for like the basic ones, and then there's like the fancy ones that are like hundreds of bucks a month, etc., etc. These elements were really big in 11, but in 14 not so much. By the time you started playing in 2017, you didn't have it. Yeah. Okay, so they removed it after A Realm Reborn. Like, you can't have a boss with elemental weaknesses when Black Mage has to rely on elements for MP management. Right. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Redevelopment, their names would be featured in the credits of the new game.
で、2011年10月14日にその Realm Reborn.
Yeah, because all the other Final Fantasy games had those elemental affinities and whatnot. But because if you played as a Black Mage in Final Fantasy VV in Final Fantasy IX, you had the ice, the thunders, the fire. It's not like you were beholden to be in fire mode or be in ice mode like you are as a Black Mage in Final Fantasy XIV.
っていう14を全く新しいゲームとして作り直してますっていう発表を同時にすることで、このままアップデートしていくんじゃないの？一体どうなるのこの先？楽しかったですよ。
Imagine being able to finally announce, like, hey, we've been working on this thing. Because for the longest time, they had to keep it under wraps, right?
1.2 was the final patch of 2011. It saw all the servers renamed, while the moon Dalamud now seemed larger in the sky. 1.21 came in March 2012, introducing a new job system and 2 new dungeons. 1.22 followed in April. Dalamud grew closer.
Holy shit, it's getting bigger. It's getting closer.
And now some players are beginning to have nightmares. Ominous dreams greet players who log into the game while at an inn. The community.
Wow, that's so cool. Like these features that they did to bridge the gap. This sounds so cool. It sounds so cool. Culminating in that like events. That is awesome.
Community all the while trying to figure this out. Is the moon going to destroy the world? Then how will player data be saved in 2.0? They wouldn't have to wait long for answers. That summer a trailer
I would
revealed.
Love it if this is what I miss from playing like a while. Like I would love it if they had more like we have the holiday events and everything, but like world events, like out in the world, like things are changing, like interactable events. Like just thinking like I don't know if it would be I don't know if players will like it, but you know how they had the whole zombie thing, the Sil Div versus old zombie apocalypse, whatever. Like, what if an event like that happened in the game, and we can go out into the world and like help out Eorzea through that?
The 2.0 would be titled A Realm Reborn, and Yoshida-san conducted numerous interviews explaining the future of the game and the features players can expect. On September 12, 2012, the final patch for 1.0 was released. The game updates to 1.23b, and with it comes an enormous Dalamud, its mechanical outer shell
look at
now
that.
in full view.
Oh, yo, that's
Players
so
now
cool.
realizing that this world didn't have long left. On November 1st, 2012, a final in-game battle began. Square Enix made
that's so
entry
cool.
free for the final week of the game, while a haunting song can be heard playing on the wind across the entire realm. While the server struggled to deal with the load, players got together with their friends.
You might be the only 1.0 vet here currently. Oh, disaster installed, but you could never launch 1.0. Problem with that is MSQ would have to be endgame player only if it was current story. Yeah, that was, I don't know. I was trying to, like, you know, some way to, like, it doesn't have to be like a world-ending apocalyptic event or something, but I don't know. I'm just thinking, just some sort of world event that, like, you go out into the open world and you can contribute to the event, or you know what I mean? Like, that would be so, like, that. Of course, it would be great if, you know, all players could contribute in some way, but
One last time, as the development team in Japan spammed enemies at.
I mean, we already have like the fate system, so what if it was something to, I don't know, tied to the fate system, like, you know, these spawns are happening across the world, you know, the server needs to you know, there's a progress gauge or something, or a morale gauge, like the server has to, like, you know, defeat, you know, X amount of spawns before the next like big spawn comes in, and like go look for these fates, you know, around the world, or so. You know what I mean? I just think that would be so fun.
Outside capital cities. One group of players outside of
describing
Golda has
Baja?
become legendary, attempting to protect the city.
Oh, it's the
with what
Gubu
we
Wall.
now call the Great Gobu Wall.
Would you like to visit Baja? I would. Wait, hold on. Let's look at the. Oh no, let's look at the Gubu Wall. We saw it in the last clip here too, but I want to look at the Gubu Wall here. Yeah, this part is wild. This part is so cool. But Baja sounds like a thing where, like, if you weren't there when it first came out, then you missed like the interaction with a lot of people. I don't know how many people are going to Baja right now. Oh my god, look at the Gubu Wall here, baby. Lily, where was your character? What was your character doing during this time here? Were you defending one of the major cities here with your on a Gubu, or were you doing something else?
Right before Dalamud hit Eorzea, we had to do some chaotic situation to the existing world. So what we decided to do is to spawn the strong enemies at the near the main cities.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Even when I popped the very strong, I mean, Manticore or the Mobile or the giant monsters, players kill instantly.
Right.
Yeah, instantly. Yeah, just snap. So, oh Jesus. So you killed my monster again.
Yeah, I know.
So
Happy New Year.
what we can do is just keep spawning the
Watching
lots of
Noclip right now.
monsters. And then in very late night when I was doing, I mean, keep spawning the monsters.
That sounds fun though, as a dev.
One programmer just, I mean, I've never talked.
You'd be like, all right, I'm gonna spawn some shit in for the people to fight here. Just like, boom, here's a spawn. Here's another spawn. You get a spawn, and you get a spawn. You were with your FC in town. You're just waiting for the end there, just waiting for the final days to approach you.
Him before, but just coming down to my desk and then just give me a bit of paper with some numbers, which numbers I can understand. This is the number of the certain monster.
Okay.
I can type in so that, I mean, I can spawn a very new.
It's like, hey, take this code and spawn in this badass monster, all right?
Stronger monsters. Oh, thank you very much. It's a programmer. So that was a very fun moment.
You're like playing God.
Oh, that's so cool. That's why I love the events that we have. I love it when there's just so many people, you know, in one area just hanging around and doing things. These days it tends to feel very casual, right? Because it's usually happening in cities. But I would love it more if I could see this in the open world. Because when I was going through MSQ, I would run into people in the open world, but it was like, you know, we're kind of doing our own thing, and it wasn't nearly as many as people as this. But I don't know. These are always my favorite parts about a MMO.
At first, I felt like God. Hey, players, can you beat my monsters? But No. I was very weak god.
They were gone.
Yeah, they were god.
So it was then, on Sunday, November 11th, 2012, just over a year after Final Fantasy XIV was originally launched, with Dalamud hanging in the sky, that the servers were finally turned off. And as they did, a trailer dropped, showing players what was to
This is the
become.
cutscene. Hold on, let me still.
Finally turned off.
There's our Warriors of Lights over there, or Darkness,
With
as we
Dalamud
kinda know them.
hanging in the sky, that the servers were finally turned
Oh, there they are. Look at them.
off.
And then look, it's your favorite. It's your favorite. You tsundere, you. Sounds like you're describing hunts. Would you like to do hunts? maybe I would. Gotta take him on hunts when he gets his new comp. Yeah.
And as they did, a trailer dropped, showing players what was to become of their old home.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I watched this a long time ago. It would be cool. It would be interesting if I went back to watch the cinematic and the ARR cinematic and all that. Because I watched it when I first started playing, but I had no context and I wasn't watching with anyone. I was just watching by myself. Yeah, classic image there. But every end marks a new beginning.
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, you had something that not a lot of people liked, and everyone wanted to forget about it. So rather than, you know, just taking that and doing it over, and just reimagining it, why not destroy that and start over? If we leave too much of that original core there, then it will just linger on as that kind of cancer that, you know, will always bring us back to that failure. Why not just clean the slate? But on the other hand, and this is where, you know, things kind of got complicated, is that, you know, no matter how bad the reviews were and how many people bought the game but then left the game, there was still this core of players in both Japan and, you know, Europe, North America, that were passionate about the game. In the state that it was, they were passionate about the game. They were passionate about the series and their characters that they had created and were now living in this MMO. And so, you know, it would have been easy to just say, okay, bye guys, you know. But if you do that, then you've basically alienated the only group that stuck with you.
That's what we
you
said.
know, for all of those years.
That's
when
what we said.
everyone else is slamming the game and talking about how bad it is. I mean, those guys were troopers. They would go on the forums. They were defending, you know, the development team when you know, a lot of times we didn't deserve defending. So that idea to wipe the slate clean, but not make it something completely new, make it something that was connected in some way to that, to, you know, the old game. The decision made by Yoshida-san to, okay, let's, you know, bring down Dalamud, destroy the planet, destroy the realm, but then bring it back. Figuring out a way to make that happen within the current story.
Gotta take Kevin to front lines and show him the blue team. You mean Team Purple? Purple team? Wish we could get an expansion and allow us to relive the story of 1.0 just with the modern mechanics and jobs. That would be interesting too. But it's also kind of like a novelty thing where it's like, you know, if you know, like if you were there, then you know. If not, then, you know, it lives on through legacy. If anything, that gives it, you know, it gives it that right? That rareness, because not everyone got to experience that. It's like a legend. We only get to experience it through tales and documentaries like this. Problem with that, Aina, is there isn't an expansion's worth of story there. Not even a patch cycle worth of story, to be honest.
Make it feel natural.
Damn, it was that barren.
Make it feel like that was always the plan. Was the biggest challenge, I think.
The team at Square Enix had worked themselves to the bone, not only recreating Final Fantasy XIV in A Realm Reborn, but also by dedicating time and money to ensuring that 1.0 players felt part of that story. The moon, Dalamud, had crashed into the world of Eorzea. That world was gone forever. And only one question remained. What was going to rise out of its ashes?
Hey! We did it! That's part 2! Woo!